Hello and welcome back to the channel. On today's tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with you how to draft a deep neckline asymmetric corset. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button. Let's dive right into today's video. So I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust. For my top length, I'm using 22 inches, and now I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2, go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'll go ahead to mark my neckline of 3 by 3 inches, and I'll go ahead to place my French curve. I'm going to place and I will connect. After marking that out, the next step is just to go ahead to outline my neckline, and I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler to connect my shoulder slope or shoulder slant, and I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline. Next is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So now I'll be ruling a straight line across this point. After ruling a straight line here, I'll go ahead to connect for my armhole. So this is my chest line, and here I'll be marking my bust circumference divided by 4. Go ahead to fold my tape into 2, and I will come out by ½ inch. Now I'll place my French curve connecting from the armhole down to the shoulder. I'll go ahead to use my marker and I'm going to outline. So after I'm done doing this, the next step is to go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches, and I'll go ahead to mark it all the way down. After I'm done marking that, the next step I'm going to take is to place my ruler, and I'm going to rule a straight line all the way to my top length. After ruling a straight line, I'm going to divide my shoulder into 2, and I'm going to go ahead to connect from my chest line down to my shoulder point. So after I'm done doing that, I'll be marking my dart intake of 1 inch at both sides. So for a plus size, go ahead and use 1.5 inches, place your ruler and connect. And I'll also repeat at the other side, place my ruler, connect down to my top length this way. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to use my marker and I'm going to go ahead to outline the line to make it more visible. After I'm done connecting, the next step is to go ahead to bring my French curve, and I'm going to go ahead place it touching my under bust, and I will connect this way. Do the same at the other side, and you're going to go ahead to connect. So after you're done doing this, you want to go ahead to mark out the rest of your pattern. So I'll place my ruler, go up by 1.5 inches. That is where I want my cup to start. So after I'm done doing that, I'm going to rule a line there that is not so visible. This will be serving as a guide for this pattern. So I'll be marking my 1 inch dart intake at both sides of this pattern. For a plus size, you're going to mark more than 1 inch. You can use 1.5 or more. Go ahead and place your French curve, and I'm going to connect. On the other side, I'm going to place my French curve, and I'm going to also connect to the other 1 inch dart. So now coming to this point, I'll be going down by ½ inch from my chest line and coming in by 0.75 inches, because what we have at that point is a bit inside. Now we'll still take out this line, that is after we are done drafting. I'll place my French curve and connect to that point, and also place it back, and I will be connecting. But before I go ahead and connect, I'm going to just go ahead and use a freehand sketch to get exactly what I want at this point. So I'll use my French curve and I'll connect it back. So on the yoke part, I'll go ahead to blend it out because I just want my yoke there to be straight without having much curve. Now I'll divide what I have between the armhole and my bust circumference. So now I'm going to place my French curve and I'm going to go ahead to connect. After that, I'm going to place my French curve and I'm going to connect this way also. Go ahead to connect to your under bust, and after I'm done doing that, my cup is ready. So the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead and I'm going to label all my pattern and to make it more visible for you to see. After I'm done doing that, I'll label it as A and B. Now I'll be coming down by 2 inches from my under bust, and I'll connect from my cup down to that point. So this is what I have. I'll use my ruler to make sure that I have a straight line, And after I'm done doing that, I'm going to use my marker to outline this. After I'm done outlining, the next step is just to go ahead to insert my body measurement. Then I'll clean off the line I have in between there, and this is what my pattern looks like. Now we'll be inserting our body circumference. At this point, I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace it, and add ½ inch for just stitching up allowance. Now I'm just going to measure my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. At the waistline, I'm going to mark the waist circumference. Now the waist circumference I'm using is not my actual waist circumference. I'm going to be snatching about 2 or 3 inches from that. That is minusing 2 inches from your actual waistline, divided by 4, measure the dart intake, and replace. Here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, add ½ inch for stitching up allowance, and I'm going to go ahead to outline all my pattern, starting from the bust down to the under bust, down to the waistline, and I'm going to connect from the waistline down to the hip point this way. So after I'm done marking out, this is what I have. And so I'll go ahead and I'm going to mark all my pattern out, and I'm going to be using my scissors to trace it out before we can alter the pattern. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. So what I have on this pattern in front, I'll be tracing it on the other side. As you can see that mine is very visible, and I'll go ahead to trace it out. So after I'm done tracing it out, this is what my pattern looks like. And next we'll be altering the waistline of this pattern. So now to alter the waistline, looking at what we have at the thumbnail, I'm going to go ahead and go down by 1 inch from the waistline at this point, and from that point I'm going to be doing a freehand sketch to get the waistline that I need for this particular pattern. So I'm just going to keep tracing it till I get down to the hip point. So after this, I'm going to use my marker to mark it out to make it more visible for you to see. So if you have any question concerning this pattern, please leave your question at the comment section. So where you have your dart, make sure that the line cutting across that part is straight, so that you're not going to have difficulties in joining your dart. So now I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my whole pattern, and I'll be showing you the final result after cutting this out. If you have any question regarding this tutorial, please leave the question at the comment section. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please hit on the subscribe button. So after I'm done cutting out my pattern, this is what I have. So after we are done cutting the front pattern, we'll be moving over to the back pattern. So on the back pattern, I've marked out all the basic measurements just like we did in front. So next, we're going to start up with marking our nipple to nipple divided by 2, just like we did at the front part of this pattern. And after I'm done doing that, I'm just going to go ahead to rule a straight line connecting from my chest line down to my waistline, and from the waistline down to the hip point or top length. So now I'll go down by ½ inch at this part. So this is not necessary, it's just to give it a little stylish effect at this part. After I'm done marking that, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to mark ½ inch or 1 inch at this point, and I'm going to connect it down to my nipple to nipple divided by 2 this way. After I'm done doing that, I'm just going to go ahead to mark 0.25 at this point. That is getting rid of the bulginess at the yoke part of the dress. And after I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to mark my dart intake. I'll be marking ½ inch at both sides, and after that I'll go ahead to place my ruler, connect, and place my ruler and connect. And I'll also connect from this part down to the lower part of my pattern. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead to use my marker, and I'm going to outline to make it more visible for you to see. So after I'm done doing this, the next step I'm going to take is to insert my body circumference. I'm going to go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, mark the sewing allowance. So you can decide to leave the under bust or mark your under bust circumference at the bust. So the waist circumference you used in front, that's what you'll be using at the back. Measure the dart intake, replace it, and mark your sewing allowance. At the hip point, you mark your hip plus your sewing allowance. So now I'll just place my ruler, and I'm going to go ahead to connect my pattern from the bust down to the waistline and connect back to the hip point. So this is what I have at this point, and I'm going to use my marker to outline it to make it more visible. So now this is my yoke, and the next step is just to go ahead to cut out my pattern. Before I proceed, I'll go ahead to create the lacing bar area, and I'll be marking 2 inches on top and half at the lower part. Connect it this way. Now I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline it so that it is going to be very visible for you to see, and make the dots to indicate my lacing bar area. So after I'm done doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my pattern first. So if you have any questions concerning this pattern, please go ahead to leave your question at the comment section, and also follow us on our main YouTube channel at Marquis Closet. So after I'm done cutting out my pattern, this is what I have. And now I'm going to go ahead to still cut out the darts we have at this part of the dress. So after cutting out this dart, we are going to go ahead to alter the waistline of this pattern. So if you're wondering why I did not cut out the lacing bar area, so that I'm going to have a straight line at that part when I open it up, and I'll go ahead to cut it out later. So I'm just going to go ahead to place my pattern this way, and I'm going to open up the yoke area. But before that, I'm going to go ahead to alter the waistline just like we did at the front part. Now we went down by 1 inch from the front waistline, and I'm also going to do so. Go ahead to connect it all the way to the other side just like we did. So this is why I didn't cut out the lacing bar area, so that I'll have the same thing at the lacing bar area and connect it down to the lower part. So after I'm done doing this, I'm just going to use my marker to outline it to make it more visible for you to see, and I will be connecting to the other part also. So now the next step is just to go ahead to cut out all these parts that I don't need for my pattern. As simple as that. So after cutting it out, this is what I have, and I'll be opening my yoke. And before doing that, I'll cut out the lacing bar area, and I'll go ahead to notch it so that I'll know the part that is facing or going towards the lacing bar. So after I'm done cutting out, this is my pattern. As simple as that. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always supporting my channel. See you in our next video. Thanks.